Good afternoon. My name is Tullio Basaglia. I'm the president of AILIS, as most of you know, probably. Yeah, I'm disappointed to see few people, but the quality of the attendance is very good. I suppose people are very motivated and interested to today's topic. The title of the presentation today is Net Neutrality. All human beings should be equal before the internet. The first question I got from my colleagues at CERN, I work at the CERN library, as you maybe know, is what is actually internet neutrality? And what do you do as a librarian in this case? What do? You check on Wikipedia. And in Wikipedia, you find a nice definition. Network neutrality is the principle that all internet traffic should be treated equally. So the definition was given apparently by a professor, the Professor Tim Wu from Columbia Law School. It's the best way to explain network neutrality. The best way is that a public information network will end up being most useful if all content, websites, platforms, etc., are treated equally. So this is the topic today, also because this principle that I just enunciated is put into question because of infrastructural and economic issues. Our speaker today that we welcome is Amélie Vallotton, who is today member of the governing board of BiblioSuisse and was before member of the board of BIS. As you know, BIS has changed name, has become BiblioSuisse, and she was secretary of the FIFE, so the committee, is a committee or a section of the committee of IFLA about freedom of access to information and freedom of expression. Okay, so as you understood, this is the topic of today: freedom of expression and freedom of access to information. Okay, the floor is yours, Amélie. Let me see. I should say just a few words. I warmly invite you to become member, the one who are not member of AILIS. You can ask Brie if you want to become a member. And the program of next year's Library Science Talks is nearly ready, soon ready. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, good afternoon. I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me to talk about net neutrality today. I had the opportunity to present this topic at the IFLA World Conference in 2016 in the US. And at that time, so it was in 2016, we had written a statement for IFLA about net neutrality and the position that libraries should have towards this issue. And when I was preparing the talk, I was thinking, do we really have to talk about that subject right now? Because it was pretty obvious that everybody was for net neutrality at that time. And in the US, the Federal Court of Communication just had approved a ruling in favor of net neutrality, so well, it was quite obvious. And now, in 2018, it makes sense to talk about that topic again, because the situation has changed, and we have to know what happened and how it is impacting libraries, and what we may, can, and should do. So I will I will talk to you about what is net neutrality, then why is it challenged today, and why is that a problem for libraries, then what is the political situation, because everything in the end relies on political decisions, and what may, can, should libraries do. So the first thing I would like to tell you is that net neutrality issues are classical internet governance issues. And that means many things. It first means that this issue is new for libraries, relatively new, because it's already 10 years. It has been 10 years since it has been beginning to be discussed in the US. But still it's quite new. And it's always moving, because academics are coming with new research, technicians are coming with new technology, so it changes all the time. And another characteristic, that is the one on the slide, is that like all internet governance issues, net neutrality is at the crossroads of many fields of expertise and of interest. So we have technical aspects, economic, ethical, political, and legal aspects. And all this makes that this issue is not a classical librarianship issue. we have a limited perspective on the issue, but it's always the same. And also we have to notice that all these people, technical people, economical people, political people, and legal people, all also have a limited perspective on that issue. So, as librarians, we have to understand that our expertise, because we have an expertise in that issue, our values and our interests are valuable and legitimate. And this because internet governance issues are always information issues. It's always about information and data transfer and management. So now we can come to our very point. So what is net neutrality? I tried to draw a little schema of this issue. So you can see that normally, in the normal situation where net neutrality is ruling the internet, you are in your home or at your office, and you access the internet through your internet service provider subscription. And these internet service providers give you an access to the whole of internet as a whole. So that is the actual situation, the current situation. If net neutrality is repealed, then you will be in your home, and you will have an access differentiated to various types of content. So it can be emails, blogs, social media, why not library catalogs. And actually the ISPs, so the internet service providers, will have the right or would have the right to differentiate between these types of content, to tax them differently, to make them come more or less rapidly to you through the band. Or they can also differentiate the users. So if you pay a lot, you will have a good access. If you don't pay a lot, you will have a not good access. So this is the thing. And why is this principle now challenged today? So as I said just before, it has been already 10 years that the discussion has started in the US primarily. And the problem is the following. It's a problem of limit of the band. So the traffic of internet has been increasing exponentially since years. Every day there is more and more content. The contents are bigger and bigger. At first we had simple HTML pages. Now we have streaming, video games, many very big contents. And also we have more and more users. Another point, it's the new services. So we have already telephone over the internet. We have television over the internet. We will most probably have autonomous vehicle, Internet of Things, so all the connected objects. And all of these objects, all of these new services use the band, the internet structure, network, and bring it to the limit of its possibilities. So the issue is about saturation. It's like a road, and you have many cars, big cars, and at some point it's stuck. You're stuck in the traffic. So that's the point. And to solve this issue, you can have several types of solutions, and only one is respecting the principle of net neutrality. So it's the first solution I mentioned. It would be that internet service providers and/or state, depending on the context, invest in new and more efficient infrastructures. So this would allow net neutrality to continue. Then the other solution are that internet service providers start to tax the content provider or the users in order to let them access to the content, or respectively, if they tax the content provider, in order to let them put their content, display their content in the fast track. And so, of course, this violates the neutrality principle, because you have to differentiate the type of content or their source or their destination, if it's the user who are taxed. Then the third solution is the one that is called zero rating. So this is solution that some mobile phone agency are using, mainly in southern countries. So in India, we had a case where they offer subscription with the service of one company or one application. For example, you can access to Facebook or Spotify without that it is counted as a data traffic in your subscription. So it's like zero traffic, it's free. But then as soon as you want to access another part of the internet or another application, then you pay and you have data transfer and you need to pay more. So this. So now I just want to show you a little bit what are the arguments against net neutrality and for net neutrality to help imagine what can be the position of libraries in the debate. So the main arguments against net neutrality are the two followings. So the first one is that ISPs say we have to manage the traffic, because if we don't do anything, then eventually the traffic will, all the content will slow down, not only one or two, all the contents will slow down, or eventually the internet could crash on itself. So, voila. Then the other argument is that ISPs would like, so internet service providers would like to invest in new infrastructure, but they are private companies, and if they want to invest, they need to get new money, and this new money would come from the new taxes. So for the part is that. And then the arguments for net neutrality, so defenders of net neutrality, they say that net neutrality is a condition for a dynamic and innovative digital economy. So they say that if net neutrality is repealed, it means that the internet service providers will favor big companies, rich companies, and that all the startups who are actually bringing the innovation in the digital world, they will not be able to survive. So that's one argument. And the second is that content is coming from content providers. They fear that internet service providers would use the argument of the saturation of the network in order to tax more and more the users and the content providers without actually building new infrastructures, because it's in the end it's in their interests. The band becomes rare and it's very much demanded, so it's expensive. So as you see, the arguments are mainly economic. And this, if you read the discussions at the time where Obama's administration pushed in favor of net neutrality, he was mainly talking about that. As librarians, actually, we see other things. And our main arguments are not these ones. We see democratic issues, and we see issues in the main mission and values of libraries. So now I will try to show you how, if net neutrality is repealed, how it impacts freedom of access to information, and with the following of impacting also non-discrimination and privacy. And then in the second time, I will show you how it affects also freedom of expression and, as a consequence, the diversity of information. So if librarianship would be summarized in only one sentence, would be, I think, this one. The core mission of librarians and other information workers is to ensure access to information for all people, we could say. So this is taken from our International Code of Ethics, so the one of IFLA. And this core mission is challenged in several ways with the repealing of the net neutrality. If you think of how libraries use the internet in order to fulfill their mission towards the public, they use the internet as a tool in two different main manners. So on the one point, there are access point providers. The user comes to the library and use the internet in order to access to external content. The other activity is the library as content provider itself. So the library uses the internet in order to display its own content its website, its catalog, its reference tools, everything. And they provide these two services respecting two main principles that are also explained in the Code of Ethics, non-discrimination and privacy. So we have to serve our user without difference from any kind. And also we have to guarantee that the users can use the library and search content with respect to their privacy, because privacy is a condition for freedom of expression. Now, if we see what is the situation with an internet that is not ruled with the net neutrality principle, we see this. So if we think of libraries as access point, it's a very pragmatical reflection. Libraries will need to pay in order to access to the content. So it means a new budget. Where does it come from? We don't know. So that's one point. And it will be expensive, because if you think about the road issue, if you want the differentiation to work and to have only few cars going in the fast lane, you have to make it expensive, because if everybody can pay, then everybody is again in the traffic. So it will be expensive, we know that, and libraries do not have big budgets, so it will impact libraries in their core activity, pragmatically. And then as content provider, again, it's again a question of money. Then it means content providers will pay for having their content on the fast track. So you will have Spotify, you will have Facebook, all the same big actors. And these will pay for having their content displayed, and libraries will be stuck in the slow line. So this means actually that the website of the libraries disappears, because the users don't want to go on the slow line. And not only is it does it have pragmatical implication, it does also have implications on the very values that libraries are working for. So non-discrimination is not possible, because de facto the users are discriminated and the content are discriminated too. And privacy, again, it's a direct implication that ISPs have to know what you're looking to in order to differentiate the contents, or have to know who you are in order to differentiate you as a user. So privacy cannot be respected. If we come to the other core values of libraries, so besides freedom of access to information, we have freedom of expression. Again, as formulated in the IFLA Code of Ethics, libraries defend the universal right to freedom of expression as expressed in the Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights. And what is really tragic about the net neutrality issue is that if you think of the situation before the internet, we had a certain state of freedom of expression. Then with the internet, a neutral internet, you have an explosion of freedom of expression. Suddenly it can be exerted as never before. And if we take back the net neutrality, we come to a situation that is worse than before the internet. I want to show you that. So before the internet, you had experts, politicians, professionals, economic actors, academics, journalists, NGOs. All these people could have access to the classical information channel, so write books, write journal articles, be interviewed in newspapers, have their actions in the grey literature of organizations, etc. And through these channels, they could access people. Now, if you were not part of these groups, then you had almost no chance to be heard. Now, with a neutral internet, you have all the people that I just mentioned before, but you have also anyone. So you and me, anyone. As a private person, you can go on the internet, publish whatever you want, whatever you think, whatever is your humor, comment on dit ça? Yeah.
I think grey literature in both of them, is grey literature equal to fake news?
No, I know gray literature means that it's, for example, the journal of an organization, newsletters, things like that.
Oh, okay. I was thinking in terms of gray, in terms of whether it's good or bad.
No. It's a librarian term. Yeah, so it's.
In terms of accessibility, it's literature that is not sold through the current channels.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Documents.
I'm not in the field, so.
No. Yeah. Well, whatever what you want to say on Facebook today, I'm happy or whatever. And what I want to say is that since the social media arrived on the internet and these services arrived, you can say whatever you want to the whole world potentially. And of course, we have seen many stupid things and many horrible things also on the social medias, but there are also valuable things. And there are also people who would have otherwise kept their thoughts or their findings for themselves or for their organization or for their family and friends, and that who now can access the hearing of everybody. So this, for freedom of expression, it means something huge, because if you can talk whatever you want, say whatever you want, but nobody can hear you, it's another situation than if you can say whatever you want and potentially you can talk to the whole world. So for freedom of expression, this state of a neutral internet is something new and that has never existed before. Now, if we think of a non-neutral internet, so an internet with prioritization, we come to this situation that is quite tragic, because you will have two tracks, a fast track and a slow track. And who can access to the fast track? It's the big commercial actors, rich political parties, and any other rich person. And all the others will be stuck on the slow line. So this means that before the internet, it was your expertise or your reputation or your professionalism that would allow you to take the word and to talk to people. And now so if the internet is not neutral anymore, what allows you to talk to people is your money. You pay, you get heard. So now I just wanted to show you a little bit what is the political situation, because in the end, it's the governments who will rule about that and who will decide what will happen in the future. So I didn't have the right to put the map here because of copyright issues. So you can see, if you want later, this map, and you can click on every country to see what is the situation. I'm not sure it's all very right, because the Swiss situation is not right, so you can check. What?
The blue means...
Blue means that there is a protection.
Blue is good news or blue is bad news?
Blue is good news, if it's true. So I wanted to talk about US, about Europe, and about Switzerland, because it's what is mainly interesting us here. So in the USA, there is currently no protection. So as I said at the beginning, in 2015, after years of discussion, the Obama's administration pressured the Federal Court of Communication to rule in favor of net neutrality, and finally achieved that. But in 2017, Donald Trump decided to put someone else at the head of the Federal Court of Communication, and this person repealed the net neutrality regulation. And now the situation, since that repealing, is that there is a discussion between the federal and the state's administration to know what will happen in the future. So now it's not yet decided, and since it's a federal state, it can change. The situation can change depending on the state. In Europe, there is currently a protection thanks to a European regulation. You have the number here. So I just say that I'm not a lawyer at all. So what I say is what I can read, and you can read in the media. So voilà. But as I understood, a regulation of a European regulation means, in that case at least, that the countries, the member countries, have to adapt their national legislation to comply to this regulation. So it is mandatory for the member states. And this regulation is in favor of net neutrality because it forbids to IPS to discriminate users based on provenance or destination of data. So it's clearly regulation in favor of net neutrality. They allow no blocking, no lower speed, no discrimination, except of illegal contents, of course. But still the organizations who are defending net neutrality are worried because there are two situations that remain in a gray zone that are not under the regulation. It's the zero rating and specialized services. So zero rating, as I said before, is this situation where an internet service provider or mobile phone agency gives you access to a subscription, makes you pay a subscription that gives you access, free access to this or that application or this or that content provider. And the rest of the internet is for payment. And specialized services, these are for now the telephone over internet and, for example, also television over the internet. And in the future, these autonomous vehicle, Internet of Things, etc. Because all these services, they exist besides the internet, but they use the same band. So it's a possible way for IPS to eventually go through a regulation that would be too strongly in favor of net neutrality. They could argue that this service is a specialized service and needs an independent access. And now if we come to Switzerland, so in Switzerland there is also no protection for now, no mandatory protection. So the internet service providers, they rely on the voluntary basis on a common code of conduct. And there is also a law, a new law, a revision of the Swiss law on telecommunication. This law requires internet service providers to be transparent if they are non-neutral. So it means they may violate net neutrality, but they have to say it. So that's very Swiss, I think, because we rely on the private sector to be responsible and to be acting in favor of democratic values. But well, in the future,
sorry. Who will complain if they are not net neutral?
There is a possibility in the law. They say that you have the right as a user to complain before a court.
Before a court.
Yes.
I have to go and fight them.
Yes. So pretty heavy for an individual.
I think I have a case where one of the service providers in Switzerland is blocking.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you can go to the court.
Not in terms of data access, in terms of services which they are providing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They're blocking certain types of services to third-party service providers.
Yeah, so that's.
Is class action possible in Switzerland?
No, I think it's not possible.
To be an individual who...
Yes, because with the Volkswagen issue, it was a theme in the media, and I read it's not possible. So I think it's not possible. Okay, so yes, that's very Swiss in the sense of that we are trusting the private sector. But if we think of the future and of what is arriving now on the market with the new services and the new application and new ways of using the internet, we know that in the future it will not be in the interest of ISP, in the economical interest of ISPs to continue to defend net neutrality. So then what will happen? And with this fear, some parliamentarians have deposited a parliamentary initiative in March 2018 that is asking the net neutrality principle to be included in the Swiss constitution. And this initiative is still pending. It has not yet been discussed by the chambers. So I come now to this question that is appealing us, that should be appealing us. So what may we do is the first question. Then what can we do? No, what can we do and what should we do? So first I wanted to address this question of what may we do, because it's always a big issue for librarians to go out and to take a position in a political debate. But IFLA has taken a position with the statement, and if you refer to the Code of Ethics, the IFLA Code of Ethics, you can also find an answer to that question, because this code says that if the political debate is concerning the framework, the legal framework of that is allowing us to exert, to make our work, if the legal framework is challenging us, making impossible for us to fulfill our mission, then not only should we, but we must react. And we must come out and say, with this rule, we cannot work. So it's not that we may, it's that we must. Then we also have a model with the IFLA statement. So the IFLA statement is quite radical for net neutrality. And it gives also recommendation for libraries and libraries association of how they can act. And I wanted to say something about the radicalism or radicality of the position of IFLA, and why we drafted the document in this way. It's because we thought, as I tried to show you before, that the debate is mainly economical. So it means that all the arguments about freedom of expression and freedom of access to information, they are sometimes coming up because NGOs are talking about that, or someone or some journalists. But it's always side debate. Everything is about economy, and is this part of economy better than this one, bring more money, etc. So nobody brings that in. So it's us who have to do it. And we have to do it radically, even if there are positions, arguments on the both sides, and that we don't want to take part for this side or this side of economy, but we have to be behind our own arguments and defend them and put them in the front. Doesn't mean we are fully right, we are in the truth. No, but we have our position and we have to defend it. Now, what can we do as librarians in our position in the society? So first, we can inform. It's our job. So we can talk to the users. We can publish some information sheets, facts and figures, tell the users what's happening. We can also try to inform the non-users, but that's a bigger deal, I think. And we can advocate. So that means for these kind of issues, we can go out and we can take part, an active part in the political debate. And if we look at our own context in Switzerland, this means that this initiative now has been deposited. Either it will be accepted by the chambers, so that means that it will come to the people because it's a constitutional change, and that means that we have to vote on that. Or it is refused, and it's probable that the people who deposited the initiative will want to make a referendum. So again, it will come to the people, and we will need to vote on that. So we have an opportunity as libraries to come out and to talk about that, to say a little bit more about libraries. And this is not only a duty and so on, it's also, I think, an opportunity for libraries, because it's an opportunity to to show that libraries are not only places where we put books in the alphabetical order, it's also places that defend some values, that defend a vision of what the information society should be, and an active member of the information society. Voilà, I think that's. Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing is that you saw I'm a member of the governing board of BiblioSuisse, but here I'm not talking in the name of BiblioSuisse because the committee didn't take a position on that issue yet, but I will bring that in the committee and we will surely take a decision before the popular votation. Voilà. Thank you.